when you're eating foods close to the nature, as close to the nature as possible, whole grains, lentils, pulses, you will not overeat, you will not gain weight. If you eat extra proteins in the body can be converted to fats. Fiber is the only food group which cannot be converted to fat. So let's say you're having too much fiber, you'll have very, very good bowel movements. You eat a coin, your stomach will pass it through. We are underestimating the power of our digestive system. So you don't have to worry, eat, and stick to mostly plants and you're going to do fine. But shouldn't you eat fruits in the dinner? But shouldn't you eat fruits with cooked vegetables? And anything that is restricting your diversity? No, do it.
1 tablespoon of ghee has 120 calories.
120 calories and 10 to 12 grams of fats.
What is your opinion on fruits? Why is fruits is getting so much amount of bad press?
Yeah, no? We should distinguish fruits from fruit juice. I think if there's a loudest way to tell your kids, I love you, take care of your health. Take care of your health. You don't have to ever send a kid to a fitness center or gym if they've seen you growing up, taking care of your health. So it's very, very important as a parent. You have to make these changes to take care of your health. Minimum 2 cups of fruits per day or maximum 2 cups of fruits per day. So you're not allowed to eat more than 2 cups, or you're allowed to eat minimum this, you should aim for more.
Paneer is a good source of protein, but you need to understand that it is rich in fats, which is increase the calories. So the amount is extremely critical. Hi Roshni, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, and thank you so much for making me comfortable. This can be intimidating, but you've taken your time to make me comfortable, so thank you.
It's not as intimidating as the nutrition part. Very nice, beautiful. We will just jump right into the discussion.
Sure.
That, your journey has been amazing, where you have been a bodybuilder, vegan diet, and you have been to fitness before, now transition into a active nutritionist in Bangalore.
Yeah.
So I thought this discussion can be where we can just classify some myths about simple nutrition.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Yeah.
So even in medical school, when we talk about carbohydrates, proteins and fats, we were not completely clear about, exactly what this is. We read about Krebs cycle. Yeah. We read about all these different cycles, but we just don't know how that is practically being applied in a clinical practice. So now everything is being a refreshing course for me while I am into my fitness journey. Yeah. So I just wanted to start right away, where in the nutrition field, everybody is talking about carbs. Yes. Okay. So if somebody asks you, what are the different types of carbs? How should we look carbs at? What will you say?
Yeah, it's very interesting. I remember having this conversation with a client on the phone, and from a nutrition background, you're trying to explain them that, hey, you should be eating this, don't do carbs, don't do protein. So I was talking to the client just generally on the phone, and my sister was sitting there eating her meal. And then when I hang up, she says, it's amazing. You just think that everyone understands what is carbs. Like I'm eating dal chawal right now and there's curry over there. I don't know what is carbs. I don't know how many grams. What do you mean carbs and what do you mean proteins? So this is what, and generally we don't look at food, no? Now we have made it so scientific and we are looking at carbohydrates and proteins and fats and minerals and vitamins. So leave that to the nutritionist. But I think when we start understanding and we start putting labels on things, it becomes complicated. For example, when people say they're following a low carbohydrate diet, especially from a vegetarian sense, your mind instantly, you would have read something. So your mind instantly goes towards don't eat grains or don't eat lentils, because you would have read that lentils are high in carbs or grains are high in carbs. Now, one thing which I want to clarify is all foods have everything. Even if you're looking at a broccoli will still have proteins and broccoli will still have fats and so all foods have everything. But since you asked me specifically about carbohydrates are subdivided into 3 categories. Now you have sugars, which is the table sugar. Sugar is a form of carbohydrate. You also have something called fiber, the thing which you find in fruits and vegetables and legumes and pulses. So when you're eating chickpeas and kidney beans, there's a lot of fiber. And then there's something called resistant starches, which act like fiber in the body. Yeah. So resistant starches are also found in whole grains and in the outer layer of grains. You're also finding it in pulses. So you have sugar, resistant starch, and fiber. And when we talk about a low carbohydrate diet, we specifically want to mention low sugar diet. We don't mean low fiber diet. We don't mean low resistant starch diet. These are very, very important for you. In fact, if you're looking at populations all across the globe, the populations which have the longest lifespans. If you're looking at the blue zones, these are they're hotspots in the world where people live for a really long time, or people who have the best waist to hip ratio, so they are naturally lean, are eating a lot of fiber and resistant starches. And when we try to go low carb and you inevitably go low fiber and low resistant starch, that is a problem. Yeah, so that is something we want to start looking at and avoiding. Yeah.
We have talked a lot about fiber in my channel.
Yes,
And
yeah.
that's why they gut feeling
I'm
with
very,
Dr.
very happy. Every time I see doctors talk about eat more fiber, I'm so happy. Fiber is only found in plants. You can't. Like animals have cholesterol. Fiber is not. It's found exclusively in plants. So if you have to increase your fiber, you have to eat plants. There's no choice. Yeah, so you have to. And I'm so happy when I see doctors saying that eat more fiber. And fiber, like I mentioned, is a type of carbohydrate. So you can't be low carb, high fiber. Very difficult to do that, not possible. When you're eating fiber, you're eating carbohydrates, but that's not a wrong thing. That's a very, very healthy thing.
Let me ask you this. In your practice, what will you consider as a normal carbs in terms of grams?
Ooh, that is tricky. So as long as a client is eating enough fiber, which I want to see about 50 grams per day, higher than what most people suggest, which is a high number.
Are you seeing that?
We do,
50 grams.
yeah.
Wow.
And that means about 70% of your total calories coming in from healthy carbohydrates,
Correct.
non-sugar carbohydrates. So 50 grams is where you also start seeing a lot of in terms of disease management and in terms of protection from a lot of chronic diseases. Especially, let's say you have women struggling with PCOS. So PCOS is excess sex hormones in your body, and sex hormones bind onto the fiber and help flush it out. So if you're increasing your fiber, you also see an improvement in PCOS. Same, likewise for diabetes, which we'll start discussing a little bit later, you see that high fiber diets work. So 50 grams is what I want my clients to eat, which means
that's a lot.
quite a lot of fiber.
That's a lot. In my practice, it's very difficult to actually have patients take 25 grams of fiber.
Yeah,
per day.
that's very,
So,
that's true.
general, we could tell the audience that the average requirement of any person is minimum 25 grams of fiber per day.
Yes.
For women. For men, it's even more.
It's slightly higher than that, 30 to
35,
35, yeah.
If you look at our ancestors and if your previous generation diet, as we advanced, the daily fiber intake went down. And that is directly correlated with the availability of ultra-processed food as well. Correct?
Yeah.
If you take a normal average person in an Indian community, even if they are eating healthy, if you do some research, it says that we can see that the average daily fiber intake is only 15 grams.
Very, very less.
15 grams,
Yeah.
right? How do you tell people to reach 50 grams? You're talking about 15 to 50.
Yeah.
That's a lot of...
That's a lot of fiber. So, number one, it should not be a sudden jump. You don't make a sudden jump because fiber takes time for your gut to acclimate. So, don't do the sudden jump. Do whatever comes as a lifestyle change to you. And lifestyle change is different from a diet practice. So if I say a diet practice, I'll say eat this, eat this, eat this throughout the day. Lifestyle change is making something part of your routine, your daily habits. Example, one of the lifestyle changes I suggest my clients to make is eat a fruit before your meal. Now, eat a fruit before your meal. If you're traveling, if you're on a holiday, eat a fruit before your meal. It does not matter where you are. If there are days I don't feel hungry, eat your fruit. Eat your fruit before your meal. So that's a lifestyle change. Fruits and vegetables, of course, are not very, very dense in fiber because they have a lot of water content. So if you're eating like 2 bowls of broccoli, you're not going to get as much. If I have to reach 50, 2 bowls of broccoli is giving me 6 to 7 grams. Yeah, it's not giving me a lot of fiber and it's a lot of chewing. So really, if you want to touch that 50, it has to be whole grains and pulses. The dried grains, that has a lot of fiber. Whole grains, example, whole grains would be brown rice, or the whole, where you're not getting rid of the outer layer. It would be oats, it would be jowar, bajra, any form of millets, quinoa, buckwheat, whatever form of whole grains you like, whole grains. Pulses.
Can we take a small, let's backtrack a little bit and then we can explain the audience in terms of what is whole grain. Yes. Okay, so I'll tell you and you guide me if I'm wrong. Okay, so a grain can be rice, wheat, barley, rye, millet. All these are considered cereal grains. And every grain has 3 parts to it. One is the outer bran. The second one is the endosperm. The third one is the germ. So what is happening is when you say whole grain, you are eating the whole grain.
The whole thing
Whole
intact.
thing, including the bran and the germ. The reason is both the bran is the major source of fiber. And what happens in refined processed food is they remove the outer bran and the inner germ, and only the starchy endosperm is there.
Is there.
Correct?
Correct. Yes, absolutely. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. It's very refreshing to see doctors who are up to date with your nutrition. I'm very happy, very proud of you.
Good.
No, I'm so
So
glad.
the problem with the endosperm is that it's starchy carbs. So that's where you're getting carbs without the fiber.
Yes.
So perfect example is mac and cheese. Okay, macaroni and cheese. People ask me whether we can take it. I said, macaroni pasta is a refined wheat where they take the bran, they take the germ. It's only the endosperm. So in that, there is no fiber at all.
There's very little fiber.
Very little fiber. So when they ask me, so you that's why I don't watch your videos at all, because because you always say don't eat this. I'm saying eat pasta, but as long as you can have whole wheat pasta, it's exactly same thing what you're talking about.
Exactly. Yeah. You want to stick to as close to whole grains as
Whole
possible.
grains.
Yeah.
And you said millet.
Millets are amazing. Millets are great source. One of the reason which this can be is you can have millets in the whole form without having to make it into a powder. So when you're having chapatis, you're making it. But if you take a foxtail millet and let's say your traditional Indian recipes, bisibele and pongal, you can replace it with and it doesn't taste, because just like white rice, which takes up the flavor of whatever you're cooking it in, millets suck in the flavor of whatever you're cooking. So if you can get the art of getting the spices right, if you can get the art of having the right vegetables, you can have millet bisibele will not taste very different from a millet pongal, will not taste very different from your regular. So you're still enjoying the amazing, delicious food, and you're adding a little bit more fiber, and you're eating the whole foods by itself.
I'm going to be very honest with you. When you first try millet, it could be millet dosa, millet idli, or even millet pongal, or even millet rotis.
Millet rotis you can, yeah.
You can make it, right? You can make anything with millet.
Yeah.
The taste initially you
It's
have to
difficult
accommodate a
adjust
little
to,
bit,
yes,
correct?
Yeah. So I tell this to people. Let's say that you're used to making buttermilk at home, right? We all have a certain consistency. Even things like chai, normal chai at home. You go outside and you have chai or buttermilk, it'll be different. Even though they are using the exact same ingredient, it'll be different. Our taste is, we are very specific with regard to our taste. But the beauty of it is our taste buds change very fast. Also, you can get yourself, and once you start eating foods whole in fiber, you'll not miss the foods which you were used to eating before. So it's not very difficult. That'll become your new home taste. This is how my mom makes it. This is how I make it at home. So that just becomes your new taste.
Same thing with quinoa. Quinoa is
Quinoa is
also,
difficult,
it has a bran with it. And the fiber content is slightly higher than the white rice.
Yes.
In my case, what I did was I absolutely love curd rice. All right, and curd is, being a gastroenterologist, I absolutely promote curd as well because of the fermentation part. So white rice with curd is absolutely delicious.
Yeah, it does. I agree.
Right, quinoa with curd. Initially, it was difficult. Okay, it was only like couple of times. And the third time,
get used to it.
I get used to it. So now I always have quinoa with curd.
Yeah, it's not very difficult. And it doesn't have to be a lot of big switches. All of us rotate through 15 recipes at home. We all have 5 favorite breakfasts, 5 favorite lunch. All of us do that. So let's say once in a week you introduce one new millet recipe. Make that part of your list of 15. So eventually in 15 weeks, you've come up with 15 new recipes which are healthier than what you were used to eating. And now they are part of your rotation and you like it. So let's say you don't like curd rice, try something else. It's okay. Yeah. But find a way to inculcate more whole grains, because that's where the fiber lies. Yes, you can eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, and you should. They have benefits with regard to nutrients and vitamins and minerals. But fiber is lentils and whole grains. So don't shy away from that. Start including more of that in your diet.
So a person needs 25 grams of fiber per day
Minimum.
on a given day. Minimum. So a person needs 25 grams of fiber per day on a given day. How will a patient gets a 25 grams? Can you give an example?
Yeah, I'll take it higher than 25. So my suggestion to my clients is, there is fear. There is fear with regard to, eating grains in general, because people think it's fattening and it'll make you obese. And fear with regard to eating pulses. They're high in calories or high in carbohydrate. There was this beautiful, it was a rat study done where rats were allowed to eat as much of the food they find in the environment, which is pellets. So they find pellets in the environment and they were given this open buffet of pellets 24/7. You eat as much as you want. And the rats ate how much they wanted and then they stopped eating. Now the rats were given, in the second part of the study, as much cheesecake as you want. You can eat as much as you want. that is the time they started gaining weight and obesity creeped in. Now that is hyperpalatable. Hyperpalatable is specifically designed to keep you addictive, designed to keep you going back to it. That's why no one can eat just one. You can't stop. You keep eating. That is hyperpalatable, and it's not enough in terms of the nutrient needs of the body. So you crave for food all the time. But when you're eating foods close to the nature, as close to the nature as possible, whole grains, lentils, pulses, you will not overeat, you will not gain weight. We have to get the clarity first. Hyperpalatable food, weight gain will happen. If it's normal food which is not hyperpalatable, as close to nature as possible, you will not gain weight. Because as long as you have this fear of carbohydrates, you will not. You will try to avoid it. Yeah. So that we need to get. Absolutely love when you did your own transformation, your 100-day challenge. Not once was there a mention of calorie counting. You didn't. You gave these 5 things you do. Number 1 was ultra processed food should be avoided or keep it to a minimum. Now, automatically, when you do that and you stick to the food which you're supposed to be eating, you will not overeat. So, that we need to start getting an understanding. Given that, I suggest my clients 3 servings of grains, 3 servings of lentils per day. Other things can be your fruits and vegetables, which you want to include in a lot of quantity. But when I say 3 servings, we want to understand. And now you start thinking, how will I eat grains in breakfast? How will I eat? So find a way. Example, a tablespoon of hummus is also lentils. Yeah. So you can make your poriyals, you can make sundals, you can make things in your regular diet, which is make a salad and add some sprouts to it. That's also lentils. So you don't have to think about making a chole curry or rajma curry all the time. There are ways to inculcate it in your my partner's from Punjab. So one of the things we adopted from him was these missi parathas. Every time you have leftover dal, you put it in your roti dough and you make it like a paratha. So that's also lentils. So find ways to inculcate it in your daily habits versus thinking about I want to. And like we discussed, take it up slowly. So right now you're eating 15 grams of fiber. We want to get you at 50 grams of fiber. Take a few weeks to acclaim to that, but eventual goal is to increase your fiber intake.
How will you train your patients in terms of, okay, this much fiber is there in this much serving?
I generally, what we want to do, because we don't do calorie counting, I would say about a fistful, a little more than a fistful is about a serving size. Yeah. So when we are doing 3, its rough estimate is about that. It goes a slightly higher than that. But let's say you're taking raw weight, then a fistful is about 1 chapati or 2 chapatis would be roughly about a serving size. So then you take it up slightly from there.
A serving size would be like 3 to 4 grams of fiber?
3 to 5.
3 to 5 grams of fiber.
Yeah.
And the point I'm trying to make is that people, let's say, eat 1 cup of, let's say, any vegetables or any fruits or anything. The amount of fiber, they'll be surprised that it is low.
It's very low. Yeah. So that's because it's very high in water content. That's why we don't use that as your major fiber source. You have your lentils and grains. Of course, you have the vegetables and the fruits. Like I said, the 3 servings of fruits before a meal is a lifestyle. That you do it anyways, but lentils and grains should be a part of your diet if you want to reach the high fiber numbers.
I'll give you an example. So, for example, because I grew up in South India, South Indian lunch will have rice and you'll have sambar. So, sambar is a lentil, correct? So, in your case, that is 1 serving of your 3 grains. Sambar is 1.
Yes, lentils. 3 lentils, that's
3
1
lentils, yeah. 1. And then 3 grains is either you have quinoa, millet or barley rice or something like that for the rice. So that'll be 2. Yeah. And then you'll have 1 more of grain.
Yeah, so you would do breakfast, lunch, and breakfast would be like let's say you're doing a porridge.
So 3 grains per day.
Yeah, not in a single meal. That would be a lot of food to eat. Yeah. No, but other interesting things, only from a purely fat loss perspective, people who do calorie counting, you take a gram of carbohydrate, you round it off to 4 calories for 1 gram, correct? Yeah. 4 calories per gram is only sugar. The resistant starch and fiber could be as little as 2 to 3 calories, half of the calories that's lower than protein, that's lower than fat. That's the least amount of calories you're putting in. Also, if you eat extra proteins in the bodies can be converted to fats. Excess fats is converted to fats. Excess carbs also can be converted. Fiber is the only food group which cannot be converted to fat. So let's say you're having too much fiber, you'll have very, very good bowel movements. But besides that, you're not going to gain fat even though you're eating extra. So when you say that, I wish I could get people to eat 3 servings, that would be a lot of food, but you're not going to gain fat. So fearlessly include fiber in your diet.
Yeah. So you said 3 grains per day.
Yes,
And
and
then
3
3
lentils,
lentils.
servings of
So
lentils per day.
sambar is 1 lentil.
Sambar would be one, sundals would be great. Sprouts salads would be amazing. Making a batch of hummus and keep it in the fridge, or kidney bean dip, any kidney bean or any bean dip, and having a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons with your meal like a chutney would be a fantastic option. So we love to do that, and of course adding it in your curries and soups and salads and
I'm focusing on this fiber thing because I can guarantee you, if any patient walking into my office with a gastroenterology practice, if they meet 25 grams or 35 grams of fiber per day, they will never come and see me
they
again.
will not need to. Yeah.
They will not need to.
Yeah, they will not need.
You'll be completely surprised that 1 in 2 patients walking into my office will have constipation as the main thing. Okay. And then they will expect me to prescribe a medication to get rid of the constipation. So I say that I increase the fiber. That's the first thing that goes out the mind. The first thing. So I'll
Or
increase.
it is eat more salad, because you relate fiber with raw.
salad.
Yeah.
Correct. And then I say, okay, I'll eat it, but give me some medication.
Yeah.
Right? So that is the usual approach that I usually see. But you'll be surprised, more than the medication, this fiber increase itself
100%
will
works
take care of the
better.
problem.
Yeah.
There's a treat. Do you know hemorrhoids?
Yes, of
Hemorrhoids
course. Yeah.
are dilated veins. The treatment for hemorrhoids, people think it is surgery. It is not. The treatment for hemorrhoids is fiber.
Wow. Yeah.
So if a patient is constipated, he's having hemorrhoids because of excessive strain on the bowel movement, increased dilated veins, and that ruptures and sometimes causes bleeding in the stool. So a reflex response is that, okay, let's ligate the hemorrhoids so that it doesn't bleed again. That is not the answer. We make sure that the constipation is gotten rid of. Constipation is treated with high fiber diet. You'll be surprised that there'll be no need for any surgical intervention at all.
As long as you're including fiber, it's very, very simple. And in fact, fiber, one other thing is, which you've talked extensively, it is food for your good gut microbiome. And now they are saying gut microbiome is related to everything from chronic diseases to weight to brain degenerative diseases. So it's literally the good gut microbiome is asking for food and you're restricting it. We don't want to. We want to include as much as possible. And you see a improvement in all markers of chronic disease, and even inflammatory markers start improving.
Correct.
Improving the gut microbiome.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's my bread and butter.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say bread, just butter. So the biggest thing is, once you get the fiber out, you talked about resistant starches as well. Right? So people think that you talked about resistant starches. What are the examples of resistant starches?
Root vegetables, because this is another food group which we want, you think is high in calories and you want to avoid, but just resistant starches act like fiber in the body. So resistant starches is not going to cause the weight gain. The process of resistant starches, carbohydrates generally converting into body fat, is called de novo lipogenesis, is a very calorically taxing process. So your body will not prefer to do it. Yes, we come from a holding back mechanism, survival mechanisms. Your body does not want to necessarily. So you'll have to eat a lot, but we don't have the capacity to eat that much. But root vegetables is one more, and lentils and pulses are a great
Examples
source.
of root vegetables?
Sweet potatoes can be, beetroots, carrots, and a lot of lentils and pulses. So you want to do chickpeas and kidney beans and all kinds of masoor dals and tur dals, and all of these are great resistant starches, and you want to include again some of them in your diet regularly.
So resistant starches will also control the glucose levels and all those things as well.
The interesting thing is, when you look at a carrot, how can you tell this is the sugar part of the carrot, this is the fiber part, this is the resistant starch? Yes, we all have approximate numbers, but a carrot grown in California versus a carrot grown in India, even though the grams are the same, will still differ in terms of
the price.
Sugar resistant starch. It's going in terms of the price. Yes, rice. Avocados and berries. My God, every time I go to the US, berries are so cheap over there. Yes, the price, but it's going to differ in terms of the resistance start, the sugar and the fiber. So you cannot really look at a carbohydrate and say this is the sugar part. That's why stay as close to the whole food as possible. Now we discussed that you should have this much resistance and you should have this much fiber. We don't know. When we are eating, really, we don't know. So as long as you're sticking to whole food, you're not getting a lot of the sugars in. Yeah. And even if you're getting the sugars, it's encapsulated within this fiber and resistance are to the effects it has on the body. It's very, very different from table sugar or like jaggery or something like that.
So that's why, it is very difficult to calculate fiber in each and everything. So that's why we bring, at least into my patients, I bring this concept of plan points.
Yes, I love that. Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Plan points is, as you said, plant is the only source of fiber.
Exactly.
Animals don't have fiber. So I say in my Gutman challenge, I say minimum of 5 plan points. Yes. That plan could be nuts, seeds, fruits, legumes, lentils, any kind of vegetables. Yeah. I chose 5 because you'll be surprised that people are not even getting 5.
I know.
People are not be getting 5.
Yeah.
Unless you're very conscious about it. So, but to get to this 25 grams, you should get at least 10 plan points per day.
Yeah.
At least 10 plan points.
Yeah. I suggest my clients 70 to 100 per week.
70 to 100
plant points per week.
Which will come around 10 plant points per day.
10 plant points per day. Yeah.
Perfect. I should subscribe to your channel. You should subscribe to my channel.
Yeah. It is just, and it's so amazing, no? Because every single time you're looking at nutrition, you're looking from a restrictive point of don't eat this, this is bad, that is bad. Why don't we start changing that? Why don't we start changing and telling people, eat this, this is a point, this is a point. So when I work with kids especially, and you have one nagging parent around, and she's not doing that, he's not doing, always. It was a funny story because there was a child I was working with, 16, 17. And we were developing mindfulness techniques. So one of the things I told her was, hey, no TV while eating. Let's do this exercise, mindfulness, because there was appetite control problem. So she was religiously following. And I get a picture from the mother, and I could only see the head, and the TV was on and food was there. An entire week, because I had a conversation coming up through the week, I was like, how much I've explained, how else can I? And I'm thinking all these things in my head. Go to the call, sit in front of her, and I'm telling her, hey, you did fantastic, but I wish. She's like, no, that was my dad. That was not me. And so this is the thing, I think that's very important, little bit deviation from what you talk. A huge thing which I promote, if you're a parent, you have to be healthy. You can't. When you're in a hospital, and you recently were talking about the surgery room, this side and that side, as a patient, you're open, you're sedated, you have no idea what's happening. Extended families have sent the WhatsApp message of get well soon. Friends have probably sent flowers. The only people walking up and down the hallway in the waiting room are your spouse and your kids. That's it. And you have no right to put them through that. I think if there's a loudest way to tell your kids, I love you, take care of your health. Take care of your health. You don't have to ever send a kid to a fitness center or gym if they've seen you growing up, taking care of your health. So it's very, very important as a parent. You have to make these changes to take care of your health. So anyways, coming back to
that's a very important point.
Yeah, it is very, very important. And you know what is the beautiful thing? Like we were having this conversation right now. The 100 Days Challenge was more beneficial to you than anyone else. And when we see you dancing with teenagers with so much of agility and flexibility in your movement, you're doing that, putting a lot of kids to shame. And I'm sure your kids will appreciate that so much when they are growing up. That worst thing a kid can get is a phone call saying that dad or mom is in hospital. It's very scary. It's very, very, it's traumatizing.
That's a wonderful point. And thank you for considering that as a dancing.
No, it was amazing.
So the reason that I did the Gutman challenge is to show people is that if you have younger kids, it is your responsibility to be healthy, exactly what you said. And it is just a matter of time that the years will pass by if you keep delaying the effect, delaying the action. So you agree with 10 plan points per day?
I absolutely agree. Yeah, I think that's what I was coming to. It's about changing your perspective on food. Nutrition is not restrictive. It has to be exciting. Then you'll do it. Otherwise, you'll do it for a short term till the weight goes down, till the HbA1c comes down. But for you to do it consistently, nutrition has to be exciting. And we do this with our clients. We keep a thing in the fridge. If a husband and wife is joining together, you maintain your list of plan points, let him maintain his. Let's see who wins in the end. Yeah, and sometimes to motivate clients, my coaches will do. I will keep my list, the coach will keep their list, you keep your list. Let's compare in the end how many plans. Because the first thing is this is too much, it's so much of shopping, it's so much. But the important thing is we consider fiber as soluble, insoluble in nutrition. There are so many strains of fiber which we haven't even discovered yet. Yeah. So you don't know what is there in strawberry. You don't know what is in muskmelon. You don't know what is in a spinach. Try to get as much. Yeah. So it changes your perspective that food negativity, association, or eating disorders is from restriction. Let's try to change that towards inclusion. Yeah.
More accommodative.
Yeah.
More accommodative. And we'll also say that wide variety of colors.
Absolutely. Yes.
Because
Yeah.
you will never know what kind of gut bacteria that is
Nutrients,
going to
yeah.
promote.
Yeah.
Because you need wide variety of gut bacteria. So that's something that we promote as well. So we say 10 plan points per day. And there could be fruits, vegetables, and all those things.
Whatever you want.
But the one major thing I'm going to ask you is, what is your opinion on fruits? Why is fruits is getting so much amount of bad press?
Yeah, no, it's very sad to see that. We should distinguish fruits from fruit juice. Two different things. Fruits are not fruit juice. It's not the same thing. And we want to understand fruits are very, very, very healthy for you. Predominantly because they are hydrating. We are not hydrating ourselves as much. And they are loaded and not only vitamins and minerals, but polyphenols and phytonutrients, things which protect your body. So when we have these studies saying that people eating more fruits do well in terms of chronic disease risk, then it's not only fiber. It's all of these protective agents which are also acting and protecting you from an inflammation perspective, from protecting neuropathy or protecting different things. So let's say you do a study where you have people eat minimum 2 cups of fruits per day or maximum 2 cups of fruits per day. So you're not allowed to eat more than 2 cups, or you're allowed to eat minimum this, you should aim for more. The group eating more does better in terms of diabetes markers. Diabetes, we relate fruits with sugar and diabetes, and they do better. In fact, if you have people just eat a cup of berries before your meal, your blood sugar spike is more controlled. And we would think that it's sweet, it's sugar, so it should cause more spike. And you're eating more calories, so it should cause more spike. But it's actually more controlled. In fact, I think the biggest study on fruits was where participants were asked to eat 20 cups per day. 20. Imagine that's a lot of eating of fruit. And still there was more weight loss towards the end. So fruits are very, very beneficial. Fruit juice is a problem. Like with anything ultra processed, it is processed. So you're removing a big chunk of,
Processed.
all the...
It's processed. Yeah.
It's processed, yeah. So you're removing this huge chunk of, and
Fiber.
you're only retaining the juice part. Not only fiber, but like polyphenols and many things which are bound to that fiber. Yes. And you're retaining only the juice part. That has fructose, a specific type of sugar. And unlike glucose, table sugar, which is broken down in your digestive tract, fructose is broken down only in your liver or predominantly in your liver. So fructose metabolism happens predominantly in your liver. And because the liver suddenly goes into an overdrive of having to do so much work, because so much of fructose together is coming to the liver, you tend to develop fatty liver diseases, you tend to develop other issues. So fruit juices should definitely be avoided.
Let me tell you from a clinical standpoint. Yes. Okay, so I see a lot of patients with fatty liver. So what is happening in fruit juices is, as you said, there are lots of fructose. And they have to have like 5 or 6 fruits to get
that
juice.
Much juice. Yeah.
Compared to you eat one whole fruit. So the amount of fructose delivered at a single thing is too much for the
liver to handle.
But let's say your metabolic rate is high and you are healthy overall, that might not be a big problem. The reason is this fructose goes to the liver, and that fructose gets converted into something called pyruvate. And then pyruvate gets converted into acetyl-CoA. This acetyl-CoA is your enzyme for energy. Okay, so let's say you need more energy. Your metabolic rate is high. You have less body fat. Your muscle is very high. Then you need more energy. So this acetyl-CoA, which is coming from the fructose, which is coming from the fruit, can be burnt. Yeah. The problem comes when there's too much acetyl-CoA and you have decreased
sedentary lifestyle.
Sedentary lifestyle, lack of muscle mass, that your metabolic rate is very low to start with. Then this excess fructose is get converted into more acetyl-CoA. Then what does that do? That goes into a different pathway called fatty acid synthesis. So then that gets converted into fatty acids, and that's where all your
fatty liver and
everything starts. So just with one or occasional fruit juice are okay, but thinking that fruit juice is better than the actual fruit might be an issue.
Absolutely. And like you said, it's about comparing the 5 to 6 apples to 1 glass of apple juice. Apples are not a problem. You will eat one, you will stop. Apple pie is a problem. You won't stop. Yeah. So the same thing. You're not going to stop, and it is hydrating, and it's sweeter than the apple juice is going to be sweeter than the apple itself, because you're not getting so much of the fiber content and everything. So you will continue drinking it, and that is a problem. So I think one reason fruits get a bad light is because of this. The fruit juice is a problem and the fruit is a problem. Other thing, we sort of have this association when we have diabetes: eat foods which are bitter, diabetes will go away. Eat foods which are sweeter, diabetes, which is not the right, yeah, it's not the right thing. So fruits actually can be protective when you have diabetes. In fact, of course, but depending on which stage of diabetes, we would suggest stick to certain fruits. We call them low GI versus high GI.
Let's talk about that now.
Yeah.
So the fruits that is good for diabetes patients, where the most important factor is to control your glucose levels, you prefer a fruit with a low glycemic index. So can you tell us what is glycemic index?
Yeah. The rate of your blood sugar rise when you're eating a food is the glycemic index, essentially. I would suggest the low GI or the medium GI for people who are where their diabetes is uncontrolled, or it is a type 1 diabetes. Now, if it is a pre-diabetes and we have brought it under control, or it's in remission, I don't even suggest, because you're still getting diversity cut down. Yeah. So let's say, but you have uncontrolled diabetes. And I think with diabetes, you generally work with a nutritionist. Don't try to Google and don't try to do things yourself. It is it's not very easy. And
Let's
interestingly,
also clarify to the audience that when you say pre-diabetes, it's hemoglobin A1C between 5.7 to 6.4.
Yeah.
That's pre-diabetes.
Yeah.
More than 6.4 is diabetes.
Yeah. So when
So you're saying that in pre-diabetes, include as many fruits as possible.
Yes, include as many fruits, but here you don't have to be very, very specific about low GI, high GI. But if it is, of course, diabetes or uncontrolled, or it is type 1 diabetes, then work with an expert in terms of knowing to stick to low GI fruits. And these could be like apples, oranges are a great example. All berries are great. Guavas are great. Plums are great. Yeah,
cherries.
So cherries are also.
Cherries are sweet.
Yeah,
but
they
still
are low. Yeah, they are low GI. Yeah.
And papaya.
Papaya is also a great option. So these are all great. Stick seasonal. You get, and especially I think in that way India is very blessed.
Amazing,
because we have
very
so much
blessed,
more variety
yes.
in terms of fruits and seasonal fruits availability. And the other way I tell, generally clients will start your meal with a fruit, because the process of digestion can be inflammatory. Fruits are anti-inflammatory. It's combating that. It's antioxidant. It is your natural appetite suppressors. It has fiber, so you're not converting a lot of body fat from fruits. It is high in terms of hydration. So you're taking care of so many different factors with just adding a cup of fruits before your meals.
What is the best time to have fruits?
Before your meals, anytime. It does not matter. Yeah. I don't restrict, because I remember every time I upload my morning starts with fruits in a big bowl of different colors of fruits. And I upload that on Instagram. I get but shouldn't you eat fruits empty stomach? But shouldn't you eat fruits in the dinner? But shouldn't you eat fruits with cooked vegetables? And anything that is restricting your diversity, no, do it. Include a lot of the food combination theory. I think it was 1950s or 60s, I believe it came out, and which was disproven. You eat a coin, your stomach will pass it through. We are our stomach, we are underestimating the power of our digestive system. So you don't have to worry, eat, and stick to mostly plants, and you're going to do fine.
Thank you for pointing that out. Your stomach is very powerful. I'll tell you a story. I think all the audience should listen to this as well. That I had a patient, came with abdominal pain. Okay. And he has some cognitive deficit. So he started swallowing coins. All right. So lots of pain. We take an x-ray. Coins are just stacked. Correct? And it is in a place where we cannot retrieve by endoscopy. Okay, and it is somewhere between the small intestine. And we were not sure, okay, this much amount of stack of coins will come out through the peristalsis, through the small intestine, to the large intestine, out into the rectum and the anal canal. In 2 days, everything came out.
Wow. How old was this patient?
This was like 2021.
Okay, wow.
Okay. We were so surprised. We were thinking that probably we'll go into surgical intervention, all those things. So my theory is that, okay, so the peristalsis is pretty strong, which means that the power of gastrointestinal tract
Exactly.
is such an amazing thing. And that is why I keep telling about the importance of fiber, where it maintains the power of GI tract, which will control everything else. Of course, if you ask a gastroenterologist what's the most important thing, I'm going to say gut.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. So we talked about fruits before meals. I have seen this practice where they have dinner around like 7, 8 p.m. Okay. And then they are going to bed around like 10, 10:30, 11 sometimes. And then before going to bed, they will have a banana or like some other fruits. Is that common in your practice as well?
Of course, if you're awake late at night, you will reach out
You'll reach out.
for food. You
You'll
will
reach
reach out. And I think we keep looking at nutrition from the perspective of self-discipline. I will have to do. I'm so self-disciplined. I will not touch food. And you can't act out of self-discipline. There's only so much you can. You'll do it for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. Eventually, you'll fall off the wagon and then feel guilty about falling off the wagon. But the practice was wrong. It's nothing to. So if you're awake late at night, you will reach out for food. And interestingly, there was one experiment done here where you have glucose through IV drips you give to patients, and you keep the drip rate the same. Okay, so they've given from morning, they're given the same rate of glucose throughout the day, and you see the blood glucose levels are stagnant, but right around afternoon, going towards the evening and late in the night, even though the drip rate is the same, you start seeing a spike. Yeah. So our ability to break down carbohydrates of food in general goes down towards the evening. So is a banana healthier at 6 a.m. or 6 p.m.? 6 a.m. is healthier. Is a slice of pizza healthier at 6 a.m. or 6 p.m.? 6 a.m. is healthier. Is a kale salad healthier at 6 a.m.? 6 a.m. is healthier. So anything had later in the day is not a good option. But don't try to say from tomorrow, today onwards from 6 p.m. I won't. If you're awake, you will eat. Change your sleeping time. That is a lifestyle.
Very good point. I'm just going to change a little bit over there. What you said, that 6 a.m. is definitely much better than 6 p.m. But 2 p.m. is even better than 6 a.m. And the reason for that is your circadian rhythm of the digestive hormones. So insulin is the hormone that digests carbs, and it's very active in the afternoon.
In the afternoon time.
So when they say, people ask me when should I eat biryani, I said yes, eat biryani in the afternoon.
Yeah. As close to noon as possible.
As close to noon as possible. As close as possible. And around like 2, 3 p.m. would be that's why they say when you work out, it is better to work out in the afternoon, 3 to 5 p.m. Practically, it is not possible because we'll be at work. But let's say you have an option to work out. That is where your insulin is active. Let's say you get an injury, the recovery rate, not only in injury, but in terms of muscle recovery as well, is much better.
Yeah.
So whenever there's a possibility, I tell my patients is that, work out in the afternoon. And then they ask me, what do you want me to do? Eat biryani in the afternoon or work out in the afternoon?
I know what Sarvana Kumar will choose. No, yeah, absolutely. I think that's everything has to be planned, how it will make your lifestyle easy. Example, you have a very amazing gym with so many facilities and, multiple like swimming pool and table tennis and everything, but it is 10 kilometers out of your way. And you have a yoga mat at home. Do the yoga mat.
Yeah. Wonderful point.
It has to be a lifestyle and inculcated easily. So if you're generally a person who starts the day very early in the morning, don't force yourself to do that earlier morning workout and go to the gym at like 4 a.m. You'll probably do it for a few days, but you will give up and then you'll feel bad about giving up and leave exercise for good. Better than that, choose a time which fits into your lifestyle and fits into your lifestyle easily.
Wonderful point. I think even in my Gutman challenge when I did, I had this thing, okay, I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning. Never, actually wake up at 5:30.
Yeah.
So I initially did for 4 a.m. for a couple of days. Then I said, it's not going to work. So few things that I did was from 5:30, I changed to 5 a.m. Okay,
that's easier. No?
That's easier.
That's much easier.
Number two, what I did was I used to do have my workout clothes and then go to sleep. So that was one of the other things. Or I've seen people actually having the workout clothes right next to them. And the other thing I did was have my workout shoes right next to me as well. So that you don't have the
option.
Yeah.
Environmental change. Environmental cues play a very big role in habit formation. If you have Maggie at home, you'll make it, no? If you don't have it, what you'll do? You have no choice. If fruits are on the counter. Yeah. Simplest thing. Study done on fruits at the counter or fruits in the fridge. Who's more likely to eat it? Fruits are there at home. But right in front of you, you're more likely to eat it. But that is in your control, that you can start changing. Dry fruits, I'm not talking about like barbecue almonds or like, the lime and cashew pistas and all that. But unroasted, unsalted nuts and seeds kept at your countertop, you will reach out for them. Otherwise, you will order for samosa. Samosa is hyper palatable. You want to do that. But here is a environmental change. I've changed my environment, so this is more accessible. Accessible trumps hyper palatable. Yeah. So this is easier because it's right in front of me. So change, making these small changes in your environment, you remarkable. Like you said, wearing the workout clothes. Decision making becomes easier in the morning. You don't have to take one more decision to what will I wear. You're ready. You just do it.
Already decision making of going to the gym itself is a big thing.
Exactly. It's a very big, it cannot come easily. Yeah. Yeah.
So you talked about fruits as snacks, correct?
Yes.
So that's what I tell my patient as well, that so let's say when you eat fruit or vegetable, whatever it is, but the fruit as a snack will give you that fiber, which means let's say you want to have that biscuit or something like that, the amount of biscuit intake will be much less when you take the fruit first.
Yeah.
So that's a huge thing. It's a
Very,
simple
very
hack
simple
as well.
thing. Yeah.
And you can choose whatever fruit that you like.
Yeah. I think also our taste buds, we have different tastes on our taste. That's why even after a very, very heavy meal, you want a dessert because you've not satisfied the sweet cravings, you've satisfied the other cravings. And by just adding the fruit, you've also satisfied the sweet cravings. So you're not going to be very likely, but fruits are going in the gut and they're changing your gut environment. So your sugar cravings will start coming down over time eventually. So this is a great way for people. Keep fruits around. Use them as if you want to. Don't have it at 10 p.m. right before going to sleep.
What is your take on the high GI fruits where mango, banana and jackfruit?
I think they are also amazing. I don't, because you're still getting a lot of essential nutrients. You're getting a lot of fiber. One of the reasons, in fact, I got into nutrition was I remember when my dad was just diagnosed with diabetes and I had prepared, I was into fitness then, wasn't doing nutrition, but prepared from my fitness knowledge some meal plan which I think would work, and went and showed it to his doctor who was a diabetologist. And it was me and the doctor in the cabin, and I was very young then. And he shouted at me. He's like, "What is this? How can you ride mango? Mangoes were in season. It was summer then. How can you ride mango? You can't do this. He cannot eat mango for the rest of his life." And I cried because I know my dad's a huge mango fanatic. We are in Bangalore. And he orders Alfonso only from Bombay to be delivered. And he orders one different strain from Gujarat to be delivered. So he does mango shopping. So he's a huge fanatic. And suddenly at the age of what, 45, 50, someone is telling that you cannot eat this for the rest of your life. Yeah. With type 2 diabetes. So that was very, very, I would not accept it. So at the time, of course, I felt like a superhero. I'll find a cure for diabetes and all. That didn't happen. But now when we do have type 2 diabetes patient and we've got them controlled, or pre-diabetes, we do include some high GI fruits and they are fine. We don't have to worry too much about it.
So the take home point is mangoes, jackfruit, banana, yes, they are high glycemic index and that will increase your glucose levels. But they are rich in micronutrients as well. So let's say your A1C is like 10, 11, probably not a good thing. If your A1C is around like 7, 6.5, moderation is still good.
Absolutely, yeah. Don't eat mangoes every day. I mean, not
Correct.
every day. Don't eat mangoes all meals. Diversity is important.
Diversity.
Yeah.
And you can consider that as your plan point.
Yes.
Plan point.
Absolutely, plan point. Yeah.
Beautiful. Super. So you talked about nuts and seeds. I just wanted to quickly touch base on your comment on unsalted and unroasted.
Yes. Yeah.
I understand unsalted. What is this roasting thing?
Yeah, interesting. So, fats and proteins, when exposed to heat, increase in something called AGE, advanced glycation end products. Yeah. Advanced glycation end products increase the inflammation and oxidation in the body. Thus, are the root cause for multiple diseases from Alzheimer's to PCOS. Now, is that the only thing causing Alzheimer's? No. It's one of the things that can impact your inflammation levels, which can then lead to multiple diseases. And also, it becomes slightly hyperpalatable. So roasted nuts kept, you will keep on munching. Raw nuts, you'll eat how much you want to. Yeah. So roasted and salted, that's why I do tell my clients avoid, because it is higher in AGEs and you stick to the raw as much as possible. Don't do roasted. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Coming to fats, what is your take on ghee?
If you look at the nutrition component of ghee, just the nutrition component, you're getting a lot of wrongs versus right, is what I would like to put it off. So saturated fats is much higher. It is high in saturated fats is the kind of fats which doctors tell you don't eat, avoid it. Yeah. And people say ghee is high in nutrients, vitamins and minerals. It does have some vitamins and minerals, but let's say vitamin A, example, if you have to get from ghee, you'll have to eat a lot of ghee to reach your RDA, required daily intake, lot of ghee, very high saturated fats, and you're getting in so much of fats in the body. You could eat one carrot, and you'll get your daily intake. So when you're looking at the trade-offs you're getting, it's ghee has a lot more negatives than positives. Also, what we do is, let's say someone is having a tablespoon of ghee per day. Yeah. So that's not so much, but people use ghee as a free pass. Ghee is healthy, so you have how much ever you want. And that does become a problem. And when we are trying to stay, at least diabetes management, you want to stay on a lower fat diet. Ghee comes in with a lot of fat and the negative kind of fats. So my suggestion would be, don't use ghee, or very, very sparingly. But people don't understand moderation. They one chapati, one spoon only. Then you're eating 4 chapatis and you're eating 2 times in a day. So you put a lot of ghee. So my suggestion would not be even cooking with ghee.
So fats are classified as saturated, unsaturated, and trans fats. Previously, doctor community said saturated fat is like so bad. Now we are slowly transitioning from there and then saying that probably it is not the fat, it is the sugar that is causing all this problem. Yes, we have given mixed messages as well. But as the research advances, we're also learning along with everybody. So in our practice, what we usually say is, hey, good sources of saturated fats is okay, where ghee, coconut oil, and all this are sources of good saturated fat. But the problem comes is what exactly you said about the moderation. 1 tablespoon of ghee has 120 calories.
120 calories and 10 to 12 grams of fats.
10 to 12 grams of fats. Correct. And I don't think nobody uses 1 spoon.
We use it for cooking. And that is, so when you're cooking, you're pouring, you're not even measuring tablespoon wise. So that is a problem. Yeah.
How many tablespoons will be in that usually?
Depends on a household. Cooking? 4 to 5 tablespoons.
4 to 5 tablespoons.
Yeah. And that's for like 1 curry, and then you're also making a dal and putting tadka on that, and then again 2 times in a day. So it becomes much higher then. So this we regularly see, and we tell people, hey, can we try oil-free cooking? No, I don't know how to do it. It's actually not that bad. Takes a little time, but tastes the same.
And you apply ghee on the roti as well.
And the roti, yeah. And the ghee, podi, and white rice.
Correct. In idli on the top of it, they put it.
Idli on top,
And then so this is how
I... And to Bangalore, my God, the masala dosas, they are filled with ghee, so much of ghee.
I remember still this, 2 idlis, there is ghee on the top, and there is podi on the side, and we make a hole in the podi.
And then put more ghee?
More oil. I didn't know at that time, but now look at this: 1 tablespoon of oil, 1 tablespoon of ghee on the idli. That itself is 250 calories right there. If I would have taken all over again, maybe I will skip the ghee on the idli and put the ghee only on that podi, probably.
Yeah. See, the thing is, all of us, if you look at it from a money perspective, let's say that we get $2,000 per day, rough estimate of the calories a person eats per day.
So you're converting calories in dollars. Yeah, good analogy.
You want to make the best use of every single dollar, right? So it gives you back the maximum returns. You're not going to throw it away and buy sand, right? You won't do it, right? Yes. So 2,000 calories is your daily allowance. Let's say, imagine, rough estimate. Every single calorie coming in the body should be maximum nutrients possible, maximum. And this is not only for preventing chronic disease. If you live to 120, going by the way our generation going, that's not going to be a big goal. If you live to 120, it should be 120 of youthful years where you're working till the last very day. And the way to make it happen now, from where we are, is taking care of every single calorie coming in. Yeah, we give yourself allowance on the weekend. You want to do whatever you want to do. You do what, you're in India right now. So if you have to go and enjoy vada pav outside, you should be able to enjoy vada pav outside. But predominantly 80% of your lifestyle, making sure is from a very business mind perspective, maximum gains. Yeah. So that's what we are looking at doing.
I think this is a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
We'll make sure that the $2,000 is being spent properly.
It's spent properly.
Beautiful. Now the major part, protein. Okay, protein. You are a vegetarian, actually vegan.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
You've been a vegan for a
Plant-based.
long time.
I've been plant-based, yeah, for a long time. Yeah.
Plant-based. As I say repeatedly in my podcast, in my channels to my patients, is that okay, daily protein requirement is 0.8 to 1 gram per kilogram, regardless whether you're building muscle, doesn't matter. Just for your regular building blocks of your cells, you need amino acids, and then you need to get protein somehow. Okay, vegetarian or vegan diet, how easy is to get that 1 gram per kilo?
Now that is the thing. 1 gram per kilogram body weight. Per kilogram body weight. Per kilogram body weight. Yeah. So this is where a lot of people get confused because you're trying to get 1 gram per pound body weight. It's not a pound. It's your kilogram of body weight. So if I'm right now 55 kilos, I should get 55 grams of protein per day. And that's my requirement. Let's say I'm weight training slightly higher than that. Yeah. If I'm building muscle mass, slightly higher. But most people are not weight training or trying to build muscle mass at the rate which they think they are. Yeah. So when I'm working with athletes who are actually training 4 hours, 5 hours a day, their requirements are higher. Now, leisurely, you're going to the gym and coming back in 45 minutes with the goal of losing weight. 1 gram is enough. You don't need more than that. In fact, longevity studies tell lesser is better. So you don't need more than that. Protein deficiency can become a problem if you're calorically deficient. If I'm eating only 1,000 calories a day, no one should be doing that. If you're eating only 1,000 calories per day, we have to calculate. You want to make sure that you're getting adequate. As long as you're eating the calories required for your body. Yeah. Now, because I'm discussing calories required for body, let's switch the gear 1 second. People think calorie counting is the way to lose weight. We used to do that when we studied nutrition, and that's what we are taught. This many calories, this is the daily requirement, create a deficit, you're going to lose weight. If that were the case, then everyone on a calorie deficit would lose weight. But there are people who are on the deficit and still see no or very little results. And that means you haven't optimized your body to become a natural calorie burning machine. If your mitochondrial count is defective, if you have insulin resistance, if you have hormonal imbalance, you will not lose weight no matter. And yet there are people who eat whatever they want and they are maintaining their, yeah. So if you can change the thinking perspective, not calorie counting alone, look at how you can optimize your body into becoming a fat burning machine. And there are various ways to do that. You lose weight even without calorie counting.
The diet that you're recommending is a plant-based diet
which is
where
whole
you
food.
avoid ultra-processed food.
Yes.
So you're saying that if you take whole foods, plant-based, and you meet your 2,000 calories, you will get your daily protein requirement
You will
somehow.
have to not worry. Yes. Yeah. So you don't have to worry about your protein intake as much.
But you should not take any other unprocessed, ultra-processed food.
People do take process, and because I said 100 and my requirements is 55 now. So
Right.
let's say you have a little bit of 80-20, 80% healthy and 20%. You'll still get your protein requirements for the day. You don't have to worry about it as much. It is that as long as you're eating literally the food which is required for the body, which is whole food and plant-based, you're still getting your protein requirements. I'm trying to put into perspective, don't worry about it as being the top nutrient. Example, the soil which we have right now, it's deprived of a lot of minerals. What we used to have 10 years back, we don't. Agricultural process, irrigation, it's deprived of minerals. Thus thyroid problems, thus iodine deficiency, thus selenium deficit. We have these deficient nutrients which are actually deficient. We don't go out and play as much with soil as we used to. Yeah, and B12 is predominantly from the soil. Thus B12 deficiency. We don't get sunlight. Thus D3 deficiency. Now these are real deficiency problems. Yeah, so when we're looking at protein, we are not worried about deficiency. That's not fiber deficiency. Yes, we have fiber deficiency. So you're never going to see a person admitted in the hospital because of protein deficiency. You'll see admitted because of fiber deficiency. They won't say fiber deficiency, heart diseases, gut issues, fiber deficiency only. But you will see. So I think the focus should not be protein alone. Yeah, focus should be you will get enough proteins. Focus on all the other nutrients, and if you do, automatically proteins also will be covered.
Will be covered. Yeah. So let's say that somebody is focused on, let's say I won't meet the criteria, and then most common sources for vegetarian is usually we say dal, tofu, paneer, and it is rich in calories as well. One thing that keeps coming up is soybean, right? So let me ask you this. What is your take on soybean as a protein source for vegan?
I think it's a fantastic source, and not only from a protein perspective, it's very rich in something called isoflavone. a type of phytonutrient which helps protects against cancers. Yeah, so if many studies that show that soybean consumption protects you against cancers later in life, prostate cancer for men, breast cancers for women, but also protects you against menopausal symptoms later in life. So soybean consumption in your 30s and 40s protects you against menopausal symptoms, and menopausal symptoms can be very traumatizing, hot flashes and mood swings, and people not being able to understand what you're suddenly going through. All life you've been a certain way, now suddenly mood swings. So family it'll be difficult. And we've seen that women with consumption of soy early in life is protective. Clarifying your soy, meaning mostly the minimally processed soy. So tofu is great, soy milk is great, soy beans, the whole beans are great. Soy chunks, not so much.
Because
Processed,
it's a little bit
yeah.
more processed.
Yeah, a little bit more processed, and you're getting depriving a lot of the phytonutrients from it. Processed plant-based soy meat alternatives, not so much.
The tempeh.
Not tempeh. So tempeh
Tempeh
is
is fermented
fermented
soybean.
soy. Yeah. But I mean like vegan chicken so plant-based meat alternatives, that not so much. So I would not promote that. But otherwise, I would encourage women, men, everyone to include a lot of soybeans in their diet. In fact, we talk about soybeans. One concern men have is it's rich in estrogen, so it causes man boobs. Yeah. So recently I was in a beach in Goa, Indian Goa beach. You enter the beach and you see a lot of men with
Shirtless.
big bellies, and big boobs.
Uh,
And I went and asked a few people, you eat soy? You eat tofu? They didn't. They don't. So
They drink beer.
They drink beer. Yeah, it's hops, and it's a lot of just the food which you're eating, which is high in sex hormones, but it's not soy. So you don't have to worry about soy and man boobs. Yeah, I wish that would be the biggest breast enlargement industry.
Right.
If it were true.
So I did a lot of research on soy as well for gut bacteria thing. So as you said, soybean is rich in isoflavones. The concern was 35 years ago, there was a study that said that, okay, increased soybean and increased estrogen causes breast cancer. And that was done in animal studies. And there is another clinical study, 335,000 people.
Yeah.
No association
No
at all.
association.
So there was a study that I was involved in. So we took women and then, they were taking soy and then isoflavones was there. And we did MRI of the breast. And we followed up for 12 months. There was no change in the fibroglandular tissue at all. So I think we should just put an end to this association of between soy and breast cancer. The other thing that is very interesting is the concern about isoflavonoids interfering with any of this, right? It causes cancer, it causes breast enlargement, it causes thyroxine absorption and all those things, depends upon the amount of isoflavones in the blood, okay? It depends upon where the soybean is grown. If it is on a low temperature like Canada, US, the isoflavones content is very high. It's 3,000 milligram per kilogram. The same isoflavones in soybean in India, it's only 1,000 grams.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
Three times more. Okay, so if there is a question about soybean consumption and any of the side effects in India, you don't have to worry about it at all, because you don't reach that criteria at all. And it's, as you know, soybean is a wonderful source of complete
protein. Yeah.
It has all the essential amino acids.
So there was this other theory, which is phytoestrogens, which is found in soy, fight for the same receptors as estrogen, sex hormone estrogen. Yeah. So why are there some studies that show that reduce risk of breast cancer, but also estrogen has beneficial effects in the body? Your bone density depends on estrogen.
Yes.
Yeah. So while soybean protects you, or isoflavones, phytoestrogens protect you against breast cancers by going and occupying those receptors, so estrogen cannot occupy them. It also selectively lets estrogen occupy the receptors where bone mineral density you need to increase. So you're having this dual effect. You're having this, playing the good cop and bad cop. Where it's needed, it's the good cop. Where it's not needed, it's the bad cop. But it's protecting against multiple, factors. I also think when we're talking about how much soybean is too much soybean, that's in 20 cups plus. It's really too much. And that much of anything is bad. Yeah, so you don't want to eat anything. But the 2 servings per day is what I recommend my clients in smaller portions. Let's say that you're having soy milk in your coffee if you want to, or you're having putting soybeans, which is if you're too skeptical about tofu, tempeh, don't like the taste of it. Soybeans taste like any other beans, like chickpeas or like kidney. Make soybeans and put it in your salads and soups, but include it.
Yes, of course. The only thing that we should concern about is
Genetically modified.
genetically modified, and also isoflavones interfere with thyroxine absorption. That is true. But that happens only in the absence of iodine.
Iodine, yeah.
Only in the absence.
Goitrogen specifically,
Ah.
yeah.
So let's say you are a normal person who don't have any thyroid problems at all. You don't have to worry about it. You are not going to get hypothyroidism because of soybean consumption. But let's say you are hypothyroid, which means your lack of iodine is still there. Then this isoflavones can interfere with thyroxine absorption for a short period of time. So that's why we tell my patients
Iodine needs to increase in the diet,
and also while they're taking the thyroxine tablets.
Yeah, don't have it around them. And cooking. If you're having raw soybeans, of course, it's a problem. But the goitrogen content is reduced drastically when you're cooking the soybeans. So I don't think anyone has raw soybeans. Everyone has cooked soybeans. I don't think you can eat raw soybeans. Tofu is pre-cooked. You're cooking. That's why you can make tofu just like paneer. You have to cook it. Tempeh is fermented. So that also reduces the goiter content. So I think it's more fear, lack of clarity around the subject. But the more, I'm so glad that you went and you studied about it.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm
yes,
so glad.
yes,
and not
yes.
a lot of people do. To go back and study a little bit about it, you'll actually see more benefits then.
Yes. The reason I did that in analysis was because every patient, when I say to increase the protein, they were like, there is no source at all. We can eat soy because of the hypothyroid. We can eat this, and there is no source at all. So yeah, that's why I did that. And there is some association with the gut bacteria as well. As you said, plant-based protein or plant-based anything is definitely good for the gut
microbiome.
Significantly. No question.
Yeah.
No question at
That's
all.
why plant diversity, not animal diversity.
Right. Plant diversity is very important. Right. So in this vegan options, vegetarian options of protein, we talked about soy. Tofu, paneer. Tofu is a part of soy. Paneer is different.
Yeah, paneer is different. Paneer comes from milk. Yeah, so you're still having some amount of cholesterol.
But the key thing about paneer, I was completely surprised. I had a Punjabi friend who invited me for dinner. And nowadays, nobody invites me for dinner because I go there, how much calories are there. So I was completely surprised the amount of paneer that they take.
It's a lot.
It's a lot, correct?
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah.
100 grams of paneer is usually 300, 400 calories.
In fact, we've had kids, 18, 19, one 19-year-old, I remember clearly. She came in to us with high cholesterol, and I was shocked because it's a generally vegetarian family. Of course, you can have because of hyperpalatable foods. And she's like, no, I've been dieting for 2 years. So I was, okay, what diet are you doing? She said, I found something online and I was doing, and which was 400 to 500 grams of paneer per day. That is a lot for a young child, yeah. And in the hopes of losing weight. And here the cholesterol is high. So it was concerning. So we want to be mindful if you're taking in sources which are like paneer. Tofu still has some fats in it. Of course, it also has.
But very low in calories.
Very lower in calories compared to paneer. High water content. That's why it's lower in calories. And surprisingly high protein content. So your serving can get 10 to 15 grams depending on the... Yeah, and a serving is not much. It's just about 150 grams you'll get about. So it's a good source of, low calories, high protein, lower carbs, no carbs. Yeah,
it's a wonderful source. It's a wonderful source of plant-based protein. So the one key takeaway from this message is that soy is good, and also paneer is a good source of protein. But you need to understand that it is rich in fats, which is increase the calories. So the amount is extremely critical. Very critical.
Yeah.
Very critical. Other options for vegetarian protein?
Legumes, pulses and legumes, and whole
Let me
grains
ask you,
also rich. Yeah, whole grains also. So we would think that if you're eating like kidney beans with quinoa, kidney beans has protein, quinoa doesn't. Quinoa could have as much as just a few grams lesser, but as much as kidney beans does. So whole grains are rich in proteins, and we don't associate grains with proteins otherwise. But they are fantastic protein sources.
But the content is low though.
But 10-15% lower than legumes, but not low by that much. Yeah, it's actually a good source of proteins. Yeah.
So then that will include your fiber as well.
That'll include the fiber. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So is edamame is a popular thing here?
Not so much, but we do see that popping up, at least in the US. And such a easy, simple, steam it and it's ready. Such a easy source of protein. And it's a mindless eating thing. No? You have it by your side and you keep munching on it. You're getting your protein, you're getting your phytonutrients, and it's a good source of fiber also.
Correct. And then you talked about in your video about, the second meal. What is that? What are you talking about?
So amazing. So that's why, when we look at food, we look at a whole. One reason I don't suggest protein powders, you're extracting. It's not a whole anymore. And that's why you never know. There are so many coenzymes in food which act with each other. And we haven't discovered everything. We don't know everything. But that's the way it's in nature. So let's say I have a diabetic client, or I am diabetic, let's say, and I'm having pulses for dinner. So I have a chickpea curry for dinner and I check my blood glucose, and the blood glucose spike will be lesser just because of the pulses for dinner, which is great. Now I went to sleep and I woke up in the morning. The spike will still be less compared to if I did not have chickpeas for dinner. And that is called the second meal effect. The second meal effect, or the lentil effect, is this scientific phenomena, how having pulses for one meal reduces the blood glucose spike for the next meal. Have something for breakfast and your blood sugar spike is lesser for lunch. So that is fantastic how, lentils and pulses act in the body. That's why with diabetic patient, we say 3 times. Breakfast also have a little, lunch also a little, dinner also a little. So you'll have that control with regard to your blood glucose spikes.
Wow. That's a lentil effect, right? So lentils, examples.
Ooh, so much. Black lentils, tur dal, masoor dal, rajma chole, black beans, horse gram. My recent favorite, horse gram sambar. Oh my God, I love it so much. Mung beans. All of these are lentils and pulses and anything.
Pulses is kidney beans, chana.
Chickpeas, chana. Yeah, those. So anything of that sort.
And your favorite millet?
My favorite millet is foxtail millet recently because it mimics rice very well. So I love doing like a pulao or bisibele. Bisibele is my favorite. Foxtail millet bisibele turns out really amazing. So people should try to do that. It also makes a great base for idli dosas. Yeah, especially dosas. It makes it crispy. So it's a great.
So one thing we have tried in our house is pearl millet.
Pearl millet,
flour.
Yeah.
So that
to make chapatis.
Chapati dosas also coming out very well.
Also? Really? I've never tried that. Yeah, but I can assume it's very, very simple, no? Because it's a flour already, so you just ferment and then leave it.
Correct.
Wow.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah. You can mix it with your regular thing as well.
Dosa is a one-day commitment.
One-day commitment.
It's a long process. It's not instant gratification.
It works. And the taste is also not that different. Initially, it was difficult, but you can add your flour based on whatever you rate that you want.
Yeah.
So I absolutely love the concept of second meal effect. So protein with lentils. Okay, the main problem I wanted to ask you is, so people say, oh, I ate dosa with sambar or rice with sambar, or that sambar usually doesn't have any lentils at all.
We think so, no. And if you're in a Gujarati household like me, in the name of dal, we're having water.
Water.
It's not dal. It's jaggery water. It's not. We don't. So the watered down dal, my husband taught me this. He's Punjabi and Punjabi dals are very thick. So when he came and he's like, you brought me to a jail or what? This is not the dal. It's not supposed to be watery. It's supposed to be thick, and that's how you should make your lentils. So don't have the little bit lentils. Have proper lentils. It should be a part of your daily lifestyle. Very interesting. So lentils, we call them prebiotic fiber. Prebiotic means they are food for our gut microbiome. Gut bacteria are called probiotics. The tablet which you take, probiotic, that's the name for the healthy gut microbiome. So prebiotic fiber is what the probiotics, the gut healthy microbiome, feeds on. Yeah. And then they release something called short chain fatty acids, SCFAs. SCFAs is directly linked to multiple things, including weight loss. So weight loss is slow, SCFAs is low. You can increase your SCFAs. You also see that the weight loss progresses. It becomes better. In fact, fecal transplant studies, you are better than me at explaining. So go ahead. You try to.
So the SCFA that you talked about, the most component is butyrate. Yes. So there are 3 kinds of biotics, right? Prebiotic, as you said, and probiotic is the bacteria, and the other one is postbiotic. The thing that you need is the postbiotic. The postbiotic is the one that you're talking about, SAFase and butyrate. And you can get it either ways. Either you increase your prebiotic, so that gets converted into probiotic, and then probiotic converts to postbiotic. Or you give the probiotic itself, fermented food and everything. What it does is it makes the connections stronger. So it's like your lost, forgotten friend who is trying to get a connection with you. And the connection I'm talking about is between the brain and the gut. So when this butyrate is high, the brain-gut axis is very strong, and that is why your weight loss is better. Yeah. Is absolutely. So the fecal transplant that you're talking about is, we had you will not believe this, we had a patient. It's a very interesting story. We had a patient who had C. difficile colitis, which is an infection of the colon. It's a bad bacteria. The only treatment that was possible was fecal transplantation because none of the antibiotics worked. And the fecal transplantation, the stool sample was gotten from a donor. I did a colonoscopy, sprayed the donor sample into the colon of the infected patient. They got better the next day.
Wow, that's how strong and powerful it is.
He walked out of the hospital. Okay. 3 years later, this patient came back as a follow-up for something else. When I did the colonoscopy, his weight was 60 kilos. Now, his weight is 130 kilos. And he keeps saying that I'm not able to suppress my hunger. I keep on eating a lot. We were like, why this happened in the last 3 years? Because the donor guy was obese.
Ooh, that's how powerful. So let's say, imagine you're taken from a healthy donor. This would be a completely different story.
Of course.
And this is, for everyone's information, no nutritional lifestyle intervention. The weight gain, weight loss happens purely from the fecal transplant. That's just how strong it is.
How strong the gut bacteria is.
How strong the gut bacteria is. Yeah. Wow. But that is true, right? So a healthy gut microbiome, the poop can go up to what, $400, $500? If it's a donor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not that much. $75.
$7,500 for one poop?
$75.
Okay. Interesting.
$75 per one. Yeah. All the healthy donors or the young people in the undergrad colleges in Boston.
Oh, you have to be undergrad?
I mean...
I was starting a different chain of business.
No, they are the ones who are looking for part-time jobs as well. So you can convert your poop into money.
You can convert your poop into money. Yeah. No, but that's a motivation. Just stay fit. Because not now, one fecal transplant is just starting off, right? So in the next 10 years, it's going to be a huge stream of science.
So there's a lot of research being done in fecal transplantation into multiple diseases. So there is research on autism, inflammatory bowel disease, Parkinson's. All this, they are showing some positive results, but it is not conclusive yet. It is not into clinical practice.
It's in the very preliminary stages.
The only thing that has been proven for fecal transplantation is the C. difficile colitis, where the colitis is completely gone the next day. As you were mentioning, in 5-10 years from now, maybe there are some other indications of fecal transplant. But the bottom line that we should grasp from all these studies is that is how powerful the gut bacteria is. That is why fiber, I completely agree with the fiber trumps actually sometimes. I shouldn't say trumps protein, but protein is not the only thing that you should focus on.
If you're eating lentils and pulses, fiber and protein go hand in hand. You can't do one without the other because it's whole and it's in that form. So that is important. I think when we are looking at protein, very population specific. Now, let's say I have a bodybuilder who has to present himself on stage in a certain way. I have an athlete who wants muscle mass. Protein is very important. You have to make sure that they're getting adequate dosage. Nothing works. Yeah. But if I have a person struggling with sleep, looking at weight loss and has chronic diseases, I don't care. I want fiber. I want to improve circadian cycle. I want to make changes in all these aspects. Proteins will take care of itself. But I will not go out of the way and say, hey, you have to take a protein powder. I'm not going to do that. Yeah. So.
But I'm going to emphasize the fact to my audience as well, that because what I say is, let's say that you are not able to meet your protein criteria by maybe 10 to 20 plant points per day or including soybean, something like that. Then in that case, there is a role for this whey protein powder or plant protein powder, what do you want? But that should not be your first step.
It should not be your first approach. Yeah.
Of course.
Eating adequate and the right kind of foods and it'll take care of itself.
Nice. Yeah. Any myth about the carbs?
Carbs cause weight gain. It's very hard to gain weight with carbs. I'm not talking about sugar. Sugar causes weight gain, yes. But like we discussed, it's fiber, it's resistant starch. They don't cause weight gain. In fact, they help with weight loss. It's lower in calories. It doesn't convert to body fat. It fills you up. Better satiety, more production of short chain fatty acid, more response to insulin sensitivity. So in every way, carbohydrates will help you with weight loss unless it's processed carbs. So don't have white bread, don't have white rice, don't have sugar. But if you're eating really just what comes from plants in its form, then it's going to help with weight loss, not weight gain.
Myth about fat?
So with regard to fat, mostly cooking oils is the question I get, that oils lubricate the joints. We are really not machines. They don't lubricate the joints. You need healthy omega-3 fatty acids, yes, for your joint health, but not from oils. You want nuts and seeds and olives, avocados, anything which is close to the whole source. Yeah. Now, does extra virgin olive oil, will it cause damage to your health? Better than some of the, the filtered or the processed oils. Better. But olives still better than olive oil. Yeah. So stick to the wholes as much as possible. And I also suggest clients 1 to 2 tablespoons of nuts and seeds per meal. You need that to absorb the nutrients which you're eating, some of the fat soluble nutrients. You need a little bit of fats with your meals. So 1 to 2 tablespoons of nuts and seeds. So let's say you're making an Indian curry, add a little bit of cashew paste. Just soak cashews overnight, blend it, gives a really beautiful creamy texture to it. If you're adding salads, then put a little bit of nuts or seeds on top. Put tahini, it's such a beautiful flavor. But find ways to add it to your meal. Tahini, I like tahini. Find ways to add the fats to your meals, not having it as a separate, thing by itself. Yeah.
So, big question. Should we have to soak our nuts overnight?
Yeah, interesting. What are you looking for? So nuts do have phytic acids. Yeah, phytic acids is an anti-nutrient. But we also have some studies saying phytic acids prevent from the formation of certain diseases like cancer. Okay. But if you have a weak gut, I would not ask a client to eat raw nuts and seeds because it's going to cause difficulty in terms of digestion. So depending on the population you're working with, if you're someone with a weak gut, if you're someone with nutrition absorption problems, deficiencies, then you soak your nuts and seeds and you're getting rid of some of these anti-nutrients because of soaking it. If you're otherwise healthy, if you're otherwise just looking for longevity and disease prevention and otherwise don't have problems, it's completely fine to have. Mistake we make is we forget to soak. And because we forget, we don't eat it. Right. Saying that I can't now, that's a food. Now you've found a negative association with food, negative association with healthy food. You eat. It's okay. If you remember, you soak it. You don't remember, eat it, eat.
Correct, yeah. Correct. 2 things I always tell my patients is that number 1, include nuts and seeds per day. And I usually say 10 to 15 nuts per day because nuts are rich in calories as well. So we need to be careful. Second one is exactly the same thing, that convenience always trumps.
Convenience trumps.
Always trumps everything. So overnight soaking is a big problem. You don't have to worry about the phytic. It is not going to make a big difference. Please take the nut that is going to be rich in nutrients. So these 2 things I always tell my patients. Maybe I should learn from you that instead of having it as a snack, include in the meal per se. Yeah. That is even better. I will try to, okay.
Yeah, I would do a fiber snack, nuts as meals.
Fiber snack and nuts as meals. Example of fiber snack?
Fruits, sweet potatoes, kale chips, all of these, carrot and hummus. All of these are
carrot and hummus. You're getting 2 plan points right there.
2 plan points, yeah. And you add a little tahini on the hummus. That is a 3. You had sesame also, so you have 3 plan points.
Tell me, what is tahini? Is Middle Eastern?
Yeah, so tahini is sesame paste. And sometimes when you make the hummus with chickpeas, you add a little bit of the sesame paste. It gives a very creamy, fluffy texture to your hummus. So you're getting 3 plant points. You're adding the sesame seeds, the chickpeas, and having the carrots on.
Nice, beautiful. As a nutritionist, what kind of oil that you are using?
I try to tell people to go oil free as much as possible.
Oil free.
Yeah, oil free as much as possible. And because the predominant patient population I'm working with are disease reversal. It's not so much with regard to just weight gain, weight loss. It is disease reversal. And when we're looking at disease reversal, we want to keep a low fat, especially with diabetes or with cholesterol. You want to keep a low fat. That's the fastest results. So I tried. And what we've done as a practice, because it has to be a lifestyle change. And if you're living in a family which is a joint family, you have in-laws, you have other people around, it's not easy to go oil-free alone. You can't do all the cooking for yourself alone. You can't do that alone. So the grain portion, keep it oil free, which inevitably is mostly oil free. Let's say you're doing a rice, don't do jeera rice because you'll have to add the tadka on top. Let's say you're doing a roti, don't add the ghee on top. So these are, it's possible. It's possible to do the grain portion oil free. It's possible to do the dal oil free because it can be cooked in the pressure cooker. Easiest oil free cooking technique is put everything in a pressure cooker with water. You will not taste the difference. You will not need oil. Yeah. If you're adding a little bit oil to the curry, which is made at home for everyone, it's okay. It's okay, no problem. That's fine because you've made what 60-70% of your meal oil free. So that little bit is not going to bother. Yeah. And that little bit, because it's little bit, doesn't matter. Use your favorite type of oil, whichever you what is convenient for the family, listen to them and let them do what they want to do. So I think keep it mostly oil free and little bit does not really matter.
Doesn't really matter.
My suggestion would be that's the lifestyle change which I've told my patients to make is when you go out, you should look like you're on a diet physically. You should eat like you've never been on a diet. Go out and enjoy. When you're out, it's a social event. And there's so much more than just thinking about food all the time and worrying about, you shouldn't. Go out and enjoy. But when you're home, it should be not, I don't like to use the word diet, nutritious food, but so tasty, nutritious food, your neighbor should get jealous what is cooking in your house. And you can make it. You can make very, very tasty, amazing, delicious food, which is nutritious also. Happens to be nutritious. Taste is the first factor. But come up with creative techniques in terms of working around that.
I absolutely love it. So you go out and then eat whatever you want kind of thing. Yeah. You have to maintain the body. Yeah. And then at home you eat all the nutritious food. The only thing is you shouldn't go out every day.
Obviously, yeah. You're Sarvana Kumar, you don't do that. You have to focus, yeah.
That's a wonderful thing, right? So if your metabolic rate is so high, then probably your body will be able to digest lot more.
Yeah. So you don't have to worry about that.
Beautiful. Wonderful discussion. Amazing. I learned a lot. Thank you so much for everything. I hope our audience actually learned something from this and then try to implement small little things. But one big thing that we both are promoting is 10 plan points per day at least.
That's amazing.
Minimum.
Yeah.
Super,
that's amazing.
Super. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. That was a wonderful episode. I absolutely loved it. I'm sure that you have learned at least 1 or 2 points from this podcast because we discussed a lot, right? We discussed about carbs, proteins, fats, diabetes, insulin resistance. It was a lot. So I want you to jot down 2 or 3 points that you learned and write down in the comment section so that you don't forget and you implement maybe tomorrow or even today after listening to this podcast. These small changes are going to give you the significant gains. Please do not ignore this podcast as one of the other YouTube thing that you just scrolled across. I want you to understand, absorb and actually implement in your daily lifestyle. We put in so much work to bring the qualified experts to make sure that you improve your quality of life. That is absolutely critical. Thank you so much for your continued support. Please consider supporting our new channels, Gut Feeling with Dr. Pal Clips, where we take 8 to 10 minute clip of the longer podcast to highlight the salient features. We also have another YouTube channel called Gut Feeling with Dr. Pal Shorts, where we provide you with a 1 minute reel due to time constraints by condensing the salient points of the podcast. And if you are an audio person who wants to listen to the podcast in an audio format, maybe while driving the car, we are available in Spotify as well. Please check out the podcast link with Gut Feeling with Dr. Pal. And please consider subscribing to the channel so that I know that I am bringing some quality content to you. So that will keep me motivated to keep going. All right. So remember, one belly at a time. It is absolutely important. I will see you in the next video. Bye.